Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andrew Engel with Fresh Pick Leads. And as a Whiskeria sponsor, I just wanted to give everyone an update in terms of what we're seeing amidst this crisis in terms of leads. So, as we know from the past few weeks, I've had a lot of developments, new news. One thing in particular was Trump announcing that the Housing and Urban Development has put a suspension on evictions and foreclosures. So I'll talk about that in a bit, but we're also just seeing the differences in how court systems are handling this shelter in place and social distancing sort of thing. So I really just wanted to go over kind of like what I'm seeing today, and then maybe just like my opinion on what I'm anticipating seeing moving forward. So to start, what we're seeing in terms of the court systems in Wisconsin in particular is they're kind of left, each county or local court systems kind of left to make the decision of how they're handling the social distancing. Some are just handling things more electronically, remotely, through voice calls, Zoom calls, things like that, and others have just kind of limited what types of cases they can see during the day, but all still seem to be filing cases electronically, at least. So in terms of evictions and foreclosures, which just have the suspension on them, we actually are still seeing them being filed each day. And but what we're typically seeing is that they just aren't having a scheduled court date, or they are having a court date that's pushed very far out, like in the May or June timeframe. So we're keeping a really close eye on those two court cases specifically, just given the suspension. But outside of that, other filings, such as like divorces or probates, seem to be trending as normal. We haven't really seen much of a difference with there, maybe a slight dip, but outside of that, they're pretty much business as usual. So what we're kind of anticipating this is going to be doing for kind of like the leads market in real estate is there seems to be a ramp up from a lot of the bigger investors side. A lot of people are looking to ramp up their marketing and get ready for, I guess, a lot to help a lot of people who are going to be in some pretty stressful situations if they're not already. We know that people are losing their jobs and under financial stress, under just emotional stress from having to be secluded or in sheltered place, in their home. Kids can't go to school. It's a stressful time, and it's something to keep in mind is that these, anyone that you're working with, while they may have a motivation to sell in the first place, they also have this added motivation, this additional stress level of just this whole pandemic. And in particular, other landlords, if you are someone who, looks for evictions or, distressed landlords, this is going to be probably another big motivation for landlords to offload. If there are a few problem tenants they have, or even tenants just that are going through, this particularly rough patch and cannot pay their, rent, there's not really much the landlord can do to, get these tenants out of their property. And on top of that, landlords are probably looking at, redoing leases or amending them or working with their tenants. And depending on how big your portfolio is, that could be a lot of work just to kind of maintain. So keep that in mind as you're talking with other landlords. This may be more than ever a time that landlords may want to cash out. But this really goes for any lead type that you're looking at, whether it's someone you just found through networking, or someone going through a bankruptcy or anything like that. This is definitely going to be a time for real estate investors to help these people out. And in addition to that, going back to foreclosures, while they have slowed, you have to remember that banks aren't going to just ignore, mortgages not being paid. This is something that we anticipate may cause an influx of both foreclosures and evictions once this suspension is lifted. So, there's a lot going on right now. But in times like this, it's best not to panic. It's best to look at it in terms of how can I help, because anyone who could bring value during this time is going to be the ones who profit. So if you have any questions or want to continue this conversation, I'd love to talk. Feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or send me an email at support@freshpickleads.com. Like I said, we're going to keep a very close eye and pulse on this situation. So any conversations we can have from here, I'd welcome. So thanks, and we'll talk to you later.